Hello again, and welcome to another installment of Fantastic Five, the show where we give you a list that is unquestionably 100% correct, and you tell us what we forgot and how wrong we are, even though we said the list was 100% correct. This week, we're looking at the top 5 best Marvel Comics events. Previously, we pointed out 5 of Marvel's absolute worst events, but this week, instead of laughing at their failures, we're going to celebrate successes and line up 5 of the all-time best Marvel events. Number 5, Annihilation. Annihilation certainly wasn't the biggest Marvel event, but let's take a moment to appreciate just what made it so great. In 2006, a cadre of artists and writers led primarily by Keith Giffen, Dan Abnett, and Andy Lanning took a corner of the Marvel Universe that had been more or less neglected for a while and completely revitalized it. It's weird to call the entirety of the cosmos a corner of the Marvel Universe, but most of Marvel's stories took place in one city, so I guess it just comes with the territory. The collection of books that made up the story of a nihilist attempt to take over the universe not only reinvigorated Marvel's cosmic characters, but almost certainly influenced the choice of characters in the movie version of Guardians of the Galaxy. Not bad for a bunch of characters people had mostly written off a few years earlier. Number 4, The Age of Apocalypse. If Twitter had been around when the original Age of Apocalypse event happened in 1995, it almost certainly would have broken the internet. Marvel took all of their top-selling and not-so-top-selling X-Men books and canceled and replaced them with all-new X books set in a completely different version of the Marvel Universe, where Apocalypse was the unquestioned ruler. Characters were changed, characters died, and nothing was the way it was supposed to be. Sure, maybe we're more cynical now and would just brush the idea off as only being temporary, but at the time it certainly seemed like we might never get the regular X-Men back. Either way, it's hard to express just how daring this story, or stunned if you prefer, was. Number 3, the Kree-Skrull War. Stuff happening in space is going to get a lot of play on this list, and the Kree-Skrull War was the story that really kicked the Marvel Universe out into the cosmos. Because when you want a superhero story to seem really big, it can't just be the world that's at stake. You've got to get the whole galaxy involved. Running in Avengers number 89 through 97 from June of 1971 to March of 1972, back when an event could just take place in one title, the Kree-Skrull War saw the Avengers and Earth itself caught in the crossfire of the galactic conflict between the two powerful alien races. Obviously, the Avengers won, because that's what they do, but a later retcon would even make the Kree-Skrull War responsible for another huge Marvel event, Secret Invasion. Number 2, Secret Wars. It's crazy to think that this 1984 event only happened so that Marvel could get in the action figure business with Mattel, and that doesn't change how monumental this story was. The godlike cosmic being known as the Beyonder snatches up a bunch of Marvel's greatest heroes and villains and demands they fight for his viewing pleasure on a planet somewhere out in space known as Battleworld. Fights were fought because that's the kind of thing that sells toys, but the real lasting changes to some of the characters were the undeniable legacy of Secret Wars. Well, that and a couple of sequels. Oh, and if you didn't know that this series only existed so Mattel would make Marvel toys, now you know the real secret origin behind one of Marvel's most memorable stories. And number 1, the Infinity Gauntlet. There's a reason Marvel is banking on this story to be the backbone of its 3rd and 4th Avengers movies, and that's because this story is ridiculously epic. Sure, things are mostly set back to normal by the end, but when the Mad Titan Thanos gathered the Infinity Gems and used their combined power to become the omnipotent Mad Titan, things went south in a hurry for the Marvel Universe. It was one thing when he used the Gauntlet's power to wipe out half of the life in the universe in an instant, but when the collected assemblage of almost all of the heroes started getting their butts handed to them, it felt like things might never be the same again. When heroes were suddenly killed unceremoniously, it seemed like they might really be gone for good. These days, comic fans know better than to get worked up over a single moment in a story that isn't over yet, but it's hard to imagine that any future Marvel event will ever match the Infinity Gauntlet's unparalleled OMG factor. That's it for this week. Check back next week when we'll have 5 more things in the definite best order. Thanks for watching this episode of Fantastic Fives. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Comics Alliance for more comic facts, and check out comicsalliance.com for more comic awesomeness.